All right. So we're ending the semester with two more lessons, two last lessons. So lesson 27, 28. They're quite short. And of course, this is the end of our journey together. Good luck for your summatives that are in for next week. Don't forget, please don't be late. Um, but I know this is quite a diligent class, and I'd look forward to what you have come up with. All right. I don't want to waste any time as usual when I do these pre-recordings. So I'm going to just close this up. We want to so this yeah. I don't want to make some kind of dramatic Miss South Africa entrance slash exit. Um, but yeah, this is where it all ends up. This is where we put it all together, eh? Storytelling. And I know we've been speaking about it for so long, and again, some great input from you all within the class that have been attending the lectures. But let's round this up, and again, like I say, just end on a high note. Yeah. And I hope to see you next year in second year. Okay. Well, let's begin with the obvious and the basics. But again, something that we all can do, but not all of us can do really well, which is being born to tell a story, right? And most people, well, I've come across this week, one particular, actually a particular student that doesn't quite enjoy the the concept of storytelling. Finds it quite boring, finds it quite irritating, and you get one of these like I say, random unicorns that don't enjoy a good story because the world and life around you is. That was surprising to me to actually hear. It'd be like, kind of like say less and let's move on with more. Life is just far too bland without some rich storytelling in our life, and with stories to tell also. It's just one of the things that make us human, and there is this great connection between us and another person when we do communicate. And again, at the end of the day, we want to find a connection between one soul, I would say, and another living being. So, the stories is how we share experience, how we learn from one another, how we learn about the world around us. We gain learned wisdom. And we become greater human beings and greater people as a whole. Information is one thing, knowledge is another, and knowledge leads to experience, or it comes from experience as well. So also, the joys of storytelling are about the connection value that we've spoken about, like something that you and your mom shared, or you and your sisters or brothers or friends, or your grandma, whatever it may have been, right? And also perhaps maybe your own personal autobiography, your own story that you constantly are walking through and talking through and acting through and living through entire your entire being. Great radio presents up two things going for them. They're easy to understand, relatable, they emotive character, personalities, and they are great storytellers. So if you remember the elements of good storytelling, the hook, the crumbs, the payoff, and the blackout, then you're kind of good to go. Don't make it so clinical. I understand that in the first year, when you're exposed to anything new like this, for example, like any of your subject matter that you've been dealing with in your first semester as first year students in media, everything is brand new and things have to be clinical and methodical so that you can actually gain discipline and understanding. Once you start feeling that you don't need or you don't understand the relevance or importance of structure, and again, methodology, and again, education, should I say, right? Knowledge at the end of the day is the moment that you actually just start losing touch with your the world around you, and also, well, any kind of growth and movement forward. So when you are looking at things like, for example, the hook, the crumbs, the dress up, and the payoff, as well as the blackout, see it as one of many different methodologies and structures that are out there to construct, for example, something as simple as a link, right? Okay. The series of principles from the perspective of writing and performing stories for radio, like it's named by Emma Coates, a storyboard artist for Pixar, which we all love. Who doesn't love Pixar, right? Um, she says, you admire a character for trying more than for their successes, right? So we love someone that is someone that's willing to take a challenge, someone that has vulnerability, someone that has depth, that has emotions, that has humanity, in whatever form, like Pixar and Disney, regardless, even if we look at DreamWorks and such, and even moving to other great animated storytellers like I mean even Sony has done some great ones as well. The thing is, when I was at school, I had this great art teacher. I really I really loved I love him. I loved him. I don't know where he is now. I'm assuming that this man is has passed on. But he took a vested interest in me and in my talent for art. And the thing is that, especially around animation, and he would go once a year, and he'd actually go visit the artist in Disney, and he would come back, and he would like help me grow, which is also the great thing just about a teacher, someone that invests in your passion, your things that you love. And he would tell me something like try and make like a loaf of bread, a loaf of bread or a slice of bread have some kind of personality. You understand? And if you can make an inanimate object come to life, then you are able to be a great storyteller. That was obviously within an art reference. I understand that, but it is also about looking at this. And I did that exactly. I remember I still have the picture still. I still have my portfolio that I submitted at Disney when I was, I think, 16 years old, and got great response from them, great evaluation, should I say. But the thing is, I couldn't have done that without someone telling me that there's a story in anything that you want to create, right? So this little piece of bread, had his little plastic covering, it was on his own. And we would have a supermarket when we were kids. Well, I mean, my parents had a supermarket. And so this little slice of bread, had a couple of friends. He had a cocaine friend, and he had a couple of rotten tomatoes. And, I built a story around that. And they were really impressed with the fact that I could bring something that was just in my immediate lifestyle, I said, in my environment. I was at the shop really literally every day after school, waiting for the drive home. So just get home and watch some TV. But anyway, um, and that was it. It's what being able to, as a creative, never mind a radio personality, but as a creative, like you have to look beyond just what is plainly in front of you. I find, and I am, it is a bit of a disappointment and letdown when I see students in their third years and they're not capable, nor are they interested in finding that kind of magic that is that's there around the whole creative process. As creatives, we need to constantly feed off like this magnetism of possibility around us. And again, without making this a TED talk, like this is really where everything is at. This is what sets you apart. And again, what sets you apart is where you uniquely identify and focus with your strongest abilities, your strengths, to be able to tell stories to the world that they actually want to hear. So, like I say, if you can just look around you and look and not out of everything, but if any out of anything in specific, be able to see the story around it, and add some depth to it, not just a headline anymore. You're far too much. We are far too much, like in the drowning level of headline culture. Do you understand? And surface culture. And so for you to continue to be someone that is passionate as a creative, you've got to look for depth and you've got to look for foundation. You've got to look for like a short and a long term, or understand the expiry date and also the limits and also the boundaries that you can break at the same time. With anything that you see in this world that is rich with content around you, presenters must make themselves as vulnerable as possible in front of the audience without shedding a tear all the time. We don't, respectfully, I'm going to kind of be like very like I want to be quite crass about this, but we don't want like someone that constantly cries, it's annoying, or constantly complains, it's annoying, or constantly is happy, that's kind of annoying as well. We want someone that is a real person at the end of the day. And remember to put on your radio hat. So we don't want all of you. We definitely we do not want all of you. Nobody wants all of you at any aspect in your life. And so you've got to compartmentalize and know exactly what it is that your skills and your personality, parts of it, are matched for this particular calling, right? And this means you being on radio and how important that is and how you can exacerbate those particular traits all together in one fantastic piece to make a difference and be someone of, like I say, just validity and value within the industry that you want to work in. So, 6 ways in which presenters can make themselves vulnerable. Listening is the most important part of becoming vulnerable. Why? Because the thing is that, like, so few people do it these days, and it's not because it's something that you should go and find out, like a Gucci dress or whatever it is. I don't know what Gucci does. I know they do bags, but I don't know if they do dresses. Doesn't matter. But the point is that you're not going to go find this one of a kind, um, state of being. It's more than just that find and then run with that. You got to really understand yourself as being vulnerable is not a weakness. People always think, oh, if you're vulnerable, your weakness. Yes, people around you in the real world will attack and will challenge your vulnerabilities, but a human being that is well rounded, that is confident, that has their own self respect, that understands their own actualization within their self being, has certainty and ownership and that kind of proud essence of being vulnerable because it makes you feel alive, right? It makes you human while you are on the air, right? Something fits your character profile, and you're thinking it, then say it, right? But remember, calculated movements are needed within media and with life in general. So don't just say what you think just because you've got this title now, and everyone must be at your beck and call. Say things, but think about it first. It says that you're thinking means you obviously have put some thought process in it. Say it. Be intimate and personal. But like by finding ways to share personal experiences with your listeners, share your emotions, tell your listeners how you're feeling, but please compartmentalize it for the purpose of. If you don't understand what compartmentalizing means, it means to put things in the right place for the right time to the right people for the right reason. And that's when you can see I'm compartmentalizing myself as like in different, let's say I have different jobs that I'm doing at the same time. I will compartmentalize different skill sets and different, obviously, aspects of my personality and my strengths and weaknesses that will have to be put into a little bit of a box that needs to get the job done in that specific one area, and so on and so forth. You'll find that compartmentalization will try at its best to avoid you crumbling down into chaos or as a result of chaos in your life. If you can learn how to separate things just in general, you're going to be a more productive human being. And obviously, you'll be more valuable to your listener at the end of the day as a compartmentalized, productive, and again, passionate, talented, unique broadcaster. Show vulnerable and self-deprecation to a certain extent. Self deprecation is a danger zone. Self deprecation means to show when you are breaking down. We just had Danelle, who was on social media, Kaya was very, very, again, on the surface, who really cares right now what's going on in the background in terms of like whether or not, whether they are or not. Um, being as genuine as they are online, where we see that she is having a mental, like she's fighting a mental war, right? And she was as plain as saying, like, I'm not handling things. I really am not, and I'm going to kind of cop out for the moment, only to look after myself. Whether that was calculated or not, it didn't matter. We don't need to know more about how much she is suffering, or how much, or what is the cause of her problems, because that is sensationalism. That's kind of cruelty at the same time as well. If you kind of live off that type of stuff, I want to see someone in, like you enjoy seeing someone in pain and disarray. But the self-deprecation part, for example, with Danelle, everybody who was anybody that knew Danelle, I'm saying to you, as a personality or as a friend or just like as a name, right? Okay. Would have had some preconceived ideas from whatever she was presenting to us as a nation. Do you understand? People that listen to her on radio, and now she yielded a different part again, not to get more followers or fans, but you know what? She just did, and she showed us, and no one has anything against that as well. And if they do, they clearly have some kind of mental instability problems, right? And I mean in a bad way. No disrespect to the mental instabilities or so again obstacles or stabilities that Danao seeks right now. Place the focus on your listeners. Ask them to share in your experience by asking, "Have you ever?" Right. So that whole notion of being able to create thought beyond thought, right? So we are in lives that are very busy, and we have become so monochrome and so robotic. And our external, the world that we live in and the country that we live in right now, and that's what I'm saying, the world that we live in, um, is so difficult right now. There's very little that a person can actually feel genuinely okay or happy with. And I'm not saying everyone is suffering continuously 24/7, because we have elements that, again, like we are joyful and we are happy for and we're grateful for, or whatever it is. But the thing is that, like to be able to think beyond what we need to right now, because we kind of are bled to the core at this very moment as a country. Um, it's kind of an unknown place. It's an unknown territory for us. So you know what, as a presenter, like when people are listening to you and they've invested in you, like allow them to have a breath of fresh air from the life that is carrying on, and like keeping them at a standstill almost around them, regardless of whether we lived in another country or the country was just the greater South Africa, and maybe that should be, hopefully we'll see that in the next 5 years or so, greater South Africa. It doesn't matter. Like the thing is, again, we're still working in a drone society, and all of us are there, and we're all a part of it. We want to be able to just be able to give some kind of fresh, something new, and something valuable, which is priceless, the more and more we move forward within the kind of deprecation of the human race. You have to keep in mind what is interesting to you as an audience, not what is fun to do as a writer. So these two things can be very different. Emma Coates continued, always put the listener front and center of every radio conversation. That's very obvious. I'm not going to carry on with that. Remember the follow through, the flow, and the interaction, right? So when you are prepping and when you are constructing anything, any element in your show, like make sure that this is not a jarring experience. Do not jump from one thing to another and a thought process that is not thought out properly, that is just kind of juggled up and messed up. Your job, the majority of your job is to actually sit down and do your job. In other words, sit down, research your prep, construct your prep, get every element that you can actually use within the context of what it is that you need to do for that show, for that listener, for that time, for that time of the year, right? Make sure that the content is relevant and reliable. Number three, and we're going to do a few of these. That's what this lesson is about. Trying for theme is important, but you won't see what the story is actually about until you are at the end of it. Now, rewrite it. Many presenters become stuck on delivering only their first idea. Write the story, then rewrite it over. So again, when I prep and I find stuff that's interesting. I copy, I paste it. Obviously, I read through it first, right? But I want to copy and I want to paste that. Then I want to go and refine the stuff that I'm going to use. I kind of like I split it up, and I say the stuff that I need as background and the stuff that I'm actually going to include in as part of this like I say accumulated link. When I say accumulated link, I will go look up more stuff, or I will watch some stuff, or I will listen to some stuff that I would like to add along with. My type of content creation or content construction has a couple of phases as well. Not only in the refinement way, but the way that it's structured out across different parts of that link. In other words, like again, a link one link here, link two here, and a link three there, maybe if necessary. But it will not be a continuation, but rather a flow and an expansion of added value knowledge, right? That adds dimension too. So, for example, like during getting the voice notes, taking a call or whatever it may be, doing the interview, and then ending off with some left of center but important facts or fiction or whatever it is. It doesn't really matter. However, I'm going to create this. I like to have well-rounded content, right? Before I actually, decide whether or not I can actually credit as something that was successful or not. We're going through 22 of these. Let's go to number four. Once upon a time, there was a dash, everyday dash. Because of that dash, until finally dash, right? This is a great template to use for writing a radio story, especially when it comes to personal stories that relate to a present and a presenter's character on air, right? As clinical as that may seem, please do not say once upon a time. This is, please do. I mean, you are very knowledgeable and learned and smart human beings. You know that that doesn't mean exactly that. It means like start somewhere, say something in the middle, and end it somewhere. Do you understand? So a beginning, middle, and end. Then that is your template for creating a great story. Find out what you want to actually talk about in the middle. That's how we look for content. Just imagine it. So you look at an article, it really surprised you. You look at a video, it really surprised you, like interests you and whatever it may be. That already forms the body. I'm saying to you that this is the core of what you want to do. What it is that you want to do at the end is the next step. Because the thing is that you can only construct logical steps forward if you know where you're going to. So you come from the middle, you go from the end, and then you work from the beginning. And from there you will develop your hook again, your crumbs, your dress up, your payoff, and your blackout. Five, simplicity, focus, combine characters, and hop over detours. So you'll feel like you are losing valuable stuff, but it sets you free. It really does. There's so much information out there that for us in radio, we aren't telling stories there. So bedtime stories that are immensely long or whatever it may be. We have a couple of minutes to tell a story with whatever elements we need that are important to its movement and its growth. And that is really important that you understand that the movement and the growth and its relevance at the end of the day. So whatever else that you think that you're gonna put in there that doesn't tick off any of those boxes or all of those, then chuck it out. What is your character good at or comfortable with? Throw the polar opposite at them. Challenge them. How do they deal? So every character in a story needs to be challenged. A story needs conflict or dilemma. When you are talking about, let's say, the news in whatever aspect, right? This is what I'm saying to you. Three-dimensional prep and content is about understanding that, look, this is only one side of the story. I've got to go and I've got to look up And no, I know there are like a plethora of people out there, like I say, i.e., our listeners, that all have different opinions, right? And some will weigh more to one, and and the others will weigh more to the other. You have got to be an objective human being that again triggers thought and conversation and conflict, right? Conflict doesn't mean fighting. Conflict leads to resolution. And that doesn't mean getting everyone happy, but it does mean acknowledging like an intelligent conversation that is going to be riveting. This is entertainment after all, at the end of the day. And if you don't inform them, if you don't educate them, and you don't entertain, I'm saying you don't make them like it's nothing fun, then you've done your job wrong. Seven, come up with the ending before you figure out the middle. That's exactly what I said. So I'm not going to say it again. Finish your story. Let's go. Even if it's not perfect. So you're continuously creating content. Don't get stuck on a piece that was not perfect. You get better the more you write and the more you tell stories. So let's say you do the execution and it doesn't really land. Like, no one's going to say, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's not so bad." They're going to say, "Look, you made the mistake. Fix it the next time." Right? So begin because it's your job, and this isn't preschool where you're learning how to walk. And so someone will encourage you, keep walking, keep standing up, keep falling down, whatever it is. It's your job. You actually get paid for it. And so that means you have to actually, when you make a mistake, you need to learn from it, learn why, alongside a manager that is constructive and that is inspirational. I'm saying to they are behind you. You understand? And motivative, right? So you'll do that. You got the job for a reason at the end of the day. It's because you were the best choice for it. So that means you have the talent and skill set to understand the situation. If it's problematic, fix it. When you are stuck, make a list of what would not happen next, and that's really cool. I like that because it moves backwards, right? Many times the material to get you unstuck will show up, right? So this is a fantastic way of brainstorming the crumbs of a middle piece of a story. So what is what again? What are the crumbs? It's again we are setting up. We do the setup of what it is that we hook them in the beginning with. This is not the dress up. The dress up is where the details come in, where we add the dimensions. The crumbs is giving us some context. Do that, right? Number 10, pull apart stories that you like. What you like in them is a part of you. And so what you are, well, let me just quickly do this. I'm so sorry. That's then just move this so I can actually get a full sentence. Okay, so what you like in them is part of you, and you have got to recognize it before you can use it. In other words, understand what it is that you are doing, what you are reading, what you want to say, what you want to talk about, who you want to talk to, and what you want to talk to them about. Right? Okay. All right. Okay. 11. Putting it on paper allows you to start fixing it. So if it stays in your head, it goes nowhere because there's chaos, right? There's chaos. It looks like this perfect idea until you start mouthing it. And that's what we say. Carry a notebook, and have a bunch of notebooks in your place where you stay, flat home, whatever it is, like um I say community, like college community, campus community. I don't know where, like res in terms of that. I'm not too sure. Right. Wherever it is, like you've got to fill that place with little notepads so that you can make sure that you jot things down on paper. When you are in class, you should be taking notes because it gives it makes sure your mind process it and lays it into like a little bit more of a solid foundation in your brain. Then if you think that you're listening, your attention span is so short that you will not remember. And whatever you write down, you won't immediately remember, but it's there to definitely go look back on. And also, again, you have processed it, right? So you'll have more ownership about fixing things that you can see plain on paper. Do not make sense. They're missing, it's missing holes, it's missing something, and missing magic at the end of the day. And so you're going to go out and you're going to find and fix that. Discount the first thing that comes to your mind, and the second and third and fourth and fifth. Get the obvious out of the way and surprise yourself. Great stories come from hard work. Everyone has told that, or is like who is a basic radio presenter will have gone out, seen this particular article, thought of this particular idea. What's your worst blind date? Like, what foods do you hate to eat? What's your biggest fear? Like, this type of stuff is boring, boring, boring to the exponent of boring, right? So don't do that. There's a lot to do with each one of those things that I've told you. But thing is that you got to go and take it to another level. Take it to another level. 13, give your characters opinions. So passive, malleable, right? In other words, like you can digest them, right? And also they are like we kind of like uh, almost like not like clay. That seems um, quite too literal, but they can be like kind of like you can work with them. You can mold them a little bit here and there, right? So might seem like so a passive malleable might personality might seem likable to you as you write, but it's poison to the audience, right? So strong opposing opinions are gold on radio. Presenters should use these in storytelling where they can. 14. Why must you tell this story in particular? Is it your in like so did is it was it your intention? Is it going to serve you? Do you really feel like you need to go out and say it to the world just to get it off your chest? No, that is wrong and incomplete completely, right, on so many levels. But you can still go and with that same thing, it's on my mind. I really want to speak about it and I want to speak to the world about it. If it is important to them to hear, okay, or for them to hear. If you're a presenter, if you as a presenter have no emotional connection to the story, neither will the listener. You have to have buy-in, and as I've explained before, buy-in is when you understand when you are a I would say like kind of like a middle ground presenter. In other words, you had enough experience, but you're not quite like an expert professional. You'll start working for the listener, like, and you'll understand that everything that you come up with, everything you're going to ask yourself first immediately, like, are they talking about it? Is it affecting their lives? Is it like is it good? Is it bad? Are they crying for it? Are they laughing about it? Are they joyous? Like what are they doing? Are they partying here? Um, are they parting or are they partying? Like, so are they having a good time or are they leaving? Whatever it may be, it doesn't really matter. The point is that your mind will be in the mind of listener, like what is the word I'm looking for? Not gratefulness, man. Gratuity, right? So gratuity, right? All right. So if you are number 15, if you were a character in the situation, how would you feel? Make your audience want to care, to feel something for your story. So if you are bored halfway through, or once again, you don't have any buy in, or you don't care, or you don't know how to tell a story correctly, or, like this is not going to work. You understand? So don't do that. 16, what are the stakes? Give us reason to root for the character, right? So, what happens if they don't succeed? Stack the odds against them. If presenters can get listeners on their side, and rooting for them. They are creating emotional bonds that cause listeners to always tune in. This isn't a political platform, but it's a platform for the people, right? Okay, which you may say, oh, that is political. It's not. This is about people's lives. It's not about what they what governmental infrastructures or structures or whatever it may be, or cause and effects defines them. There's so much more to you as a human being than just whatever it is, like whatever higher powers or governance, right? So 17, no work is ever wasted. If it's not working, let it go. and move on. No one cares. If it was a bad call out, they will not care if you move quite along. So don't ever be caught by saying, oh, don't forget we're talking about this, and you can still send in your voice notes, or you can still give me a call when no one has sent you a voice note. And like the first time you said it, it's because it was bad, and they will actually be relieved that you don't speak about it again because they weren't interested. Number 18, you have to know yourself, the difference between doing your best and fussing, right? So story is testing, not refining. So you as a presenter need to understand yourself, your character, and exactly what you stand for. We want people, like I say, real people on radio with real opinions that make sense, right? That hit a mark, that feel like it is. I mean, that there's no pretense here. There's no ego here. There is another person that has a different talent. In other words, you have a voice on you. You are a performer in that sense, but you are doing this for the good of your community, your listeners, right? Coincidences get characters into trouble and are great, but coincidences to get them out of it are cheating. So don't be lazy when it comes to creating your stories. There's a world of stories around you. If you are caught making up something, people will, like, they will mock you. I'm saying professionally, and the listeners will never take you seriously again. It's so easy to tell when someone's lying or when you make up something on air just for the sake of trying to get from point A to point B. It shows that you don't know what you're doing at all. Right. Like whatever time that you have spent within or behind the mic, I'm saying within the studio behind the mic is actually been for nothing, right? 20, exercise. Take the building blocks of a movie you dislike and how did you rearrange them into what you did like? So, in other words, nonsensical stuff. What looking as like, why is this character here? Why are they saying these things? It makes no sense. Like, why does the ending not make sense? Why is the beginning so cryptic? I don't get what's going on and trying to rearrange it like a puzzle that actually fits, right? And put yourself to tests like that. Look around you, look at stuff that you're reading, that you are consuming every single day, and be a critic, right, about it, a professional critic. Don't say, oh, this is just bad. Tell me why. Tell yourself why, right? And then see whether or not you are able to even have the I don't so I mean, like, are you on the level to criticize them, like professionally, or is there something that you still have to actually learn before you can say, well, it's bad because this, it's good because this, it could be fixed because of this. 21, you got to identify with your situation, characters, etc. You can't just write cool stuff. What would make you act that way? The more authentic the story and the storytellers are, right, the better its chance of succeeding. And lastly, 22, what is the essence of your story? The most economical telling of it. If you know that, you can build out of that, from there, in there, everywhere, right? Okay. So every great radio story is usually clear and concise. Again, it's clear and concise, one, because you're a talent and you know how to deliver concise, communicated information. And two, you put in the work to make it a clear, concise, and communicative product. So those are all that's all the 22 tips there. I'm going to end it at that. Stop the share. We're going to get into our last lesson.